Okay, so apparently GameFAQs just kept all the old Crash Bandicoot reviews and a whole bunch of others from way back in the early 2000s. It's pretty cool, pretty wholesome. So let's go on and check out a few of these. Good old schooler with a few kinks. Supercalifragilisticexpialidociously good? I guess I can agree with that. But yeah, otherwise this is pretty accurate. You know, old school, but very well executed. Ooh, this guy gave it a 4. Let's see what this is about.
Huh?
What about this one? This one is also a 4 out of 10. More of an obstacle course than a collectathon. Yeah, that's accurate. Crash 1 doesn't have that many collectibles compared to the other games. And yeah, the save system, it's horrible. I mean, you know, it's one thing Insane did better. Fix the save system. This is actually a pretty recent review. Why am I even reading this? What in the hell is a Bandicoot? Well, that was my question when I was a kid. I mean, it was a fox, right? I've never heard the Crash soundtrack being classified as a Hawaiian style, but I guess that kinda makes sense. The first batch of Crash before Crash came back. He's referring to the Wrath of Cortex. Oh my god, how the time flies. He gave it a 10, but still he says that it should cost 20 or under. Well, I mean, it was 2001. I mean, it was already like 5 years old, so, you know. Oh, this one gave it a 5. Yeah, I mean, the fact that you have to break all the boxes without dying is kinda excessive, but you know, you could argue that today people are just not as good with platformers as they used to be. I mean, I feel like people didn't complain about this kind of stuff as much back in the day as they do today. I mean, whatever happened to a decent challenge? By Vesperas back in 2003. Remember Mario?
Mustache Man, your worst nightmare has arrived. Pack up your stuff!
Remember Sonic? He was like Sega. Crash? Oh, he is PlayStation, the best combination. This is one of the best games in existence. Like across the multiverse or something. It more than deserves a 10 out of 10. Well, I agree. Can donate this guy? What? Review by Psycho Penguin. I do not see why everyone loves this game so much. Okay, so I played 2 and 3 before I played 1. I mean, that's kinda like me, and yeah, I mean, 1 is kinda rough. Not as developed, I guess. Again, like, people just love to shit on the music for this game. Like, God, it's simple, it's ambient, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Come on, guys. I mean, music's like the most subjective thing ever, but, you know, I'm surprised. Review by C-Scan85, how do you say that? Whatever. He made this a 7 because if he had to narrate down to his true feelings, he'd give it a 6.82, but because he doesn't use decimals, he's gonna stick with 7. Okay, well, you know, that's fair. You know, a lot of these reviews say that for 1996 this game looks very good, and I would go as far as to say it still looks good. Like, you've heard what I've said about Insane Trilogy, but I still think Crash 1, 2 and 3 and CTR, they look absolutely amazing. And their visuals have aged very gracefully, I would say. Sneak the Snake. Contrary to what some might think, Crash is more original than the onslaught of other platforming mascots. Yeah, I always kinda thought that Crash's gameplay is fairly simple, basic, but the way it's presented is phenomenal. You know, it's presented in a very extraordinary, very detailed, lush, very inventive ways. Like, the platforming is simple, but it's just done in the best way possible. That's what I would say. Okay, let's hop on to Crash 2. Description: the game is full of brand new enemies and characters. Kimodo Joe and Mo.
Show.
Yeah, Kimodo Joe, my favorite character. I wish he came back. Oh, since Crash 2 is my favorite like platformer of all time, I'm gonna be fuming at these negative reviews, but let's see what we have here. Spectre. Okay, so the good, quirky, varied and entertaining, perfect difficulty curve, great graphics and sound. The bad adds almost nothing to the platformer genre. Well, you know. Like I said before, the presentation is very good, despite it not having that much, like, new innovations, I guess. But yeah, I have to agree that, yes, it does have a very good difficulty curve, it does have a good amount of variety, not like Crash 3, which has too much variety, like half the game is spent with boring, dull variety that's just... it sucks. WebWiz Tommy from 2002. The story. After speaking with Engine, Cortex learns that crystals hold tremendous power. Well, I'm pretty sure he learned that a year ago when he found those in a cave. Oh, this one's from 1999. Wow. Skater Bob. Does Crash even have a house in Crash 2? I don't think he does. The overall gameplay of this game is boring.
What? What do you mean?
The whole game is almost exactly the same as the first one, just that it's a different storyline and some new bosses. Most of the bosses are the same though, just different looking and stronger and harder. The levels are basically the same. No. Like, did you even play the game? Like, sure, it has the same formula, but it has new moves, new mechanics, new crates, new kind of enemies. Like, it's a sequel. It's a sequel to the first game. I mean, what did you expect? A whole different formula? I hope Crash Team Racing is more fun as well as Crash 3. Well, not Crash 3, but CTR, you could argue it's more fun, but it's a different type of game, so not a fair comparison, really. Is Crash's second adventure a Crash? Definitely not. One very disappointing feature about Crash Bandicoot 2 is the overall lack of challenge. What? Any person that was able to get through the first game without too much difficulty should be able to fly through Crash 2 in no time. Well, I mean, back in the day, you couldn't really look up where the gems were. Couldn't look up where the secret pathways were. Like, there was internet, but not everyone had easy access to it. It was slow as shit. There weren't that many pages, you know. A lot of us kids didn't even know you could look up stuff like that. So that alone added a lot of challenge. Multiplayer mode, that was kind of unheard of back in the 90s of any platformer. I mean, this is kind of true for today, but for 2001 this comment feels almost weird. Like, I guess multiplayer games were rising up, especially in the PC, but like console platformers, I wouldn't really say that was a bad thing that it was a single player, but that's pretty interesting. Laguna the Moron. The music has changed and isn't as fitting. The several scores, such as the polar bear riding part. Wow, this is actually the opposite. This guy actually prefers the music from Crash 1. That's a pretty interesting, unpopular opinion, I guess. 6 seems a low score, but Crash Bandicoot deserves it. This is because the game is far more repetitive than the last and borrows too much from the older game. Like, do people just not understand what a sequel is? Like, how much change do you really expect? Like, Crash 2 changed plenty. Come on, people. Was this review paid by Nintendo? Alright, let's look at some of the Crash 3 reviews. I hope they complain about the vehicles. Oh yeah, he's back and he's ready. It's a whole new time-traveling adventure. All new style gameplay, action, scuba dive, ride a motorcycle, baby T-Rex. This is the problem. Don't put too much extra bullshit. We don't need it. Vehicles should be an occasional change of pace, not every other level. Review by Vesperos from 2003. Too much new stuff spoils the original. I have to agree, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Just too much new stuff. There was no reason to make so many vehicle levels. This game is getting a 6 out of 10 because it has lost its touch with the original. Nobody who played the original Crash Bandicoot to hell probably likes the racing and other lame stuff this game sports. Like, come on, shooting at blimps, that is just not right for this game. I have to agree with this guy. I exactly agree. This guy knows what's going on. Review by Critic for Life. This is actually from 2011, so in my book not that old. But yeah, where's the platforming? Again, yes, too many vehicles. Overall, I didn't enjoy this game as much as I did back then, which partially goes back to the oh my god, it's a video game, so freaking awesome mindset I had back then. Yeah, that's pretty much it. When you're a kid, you're very easy to impress. You don't really, like the same things as you do when you're an adult. You fixate on the little details. It's different. when you are grown up. Laguna de Moron. I think this guy also reviewed Crash 2 or 1. Crash returns and lets his fans down. Yep. Should I get this if I have the previous future ones? I wouldn't recommend it. So far, this is the worst one in the series, yes. Well, I mean, it's Crash 3. It has a big problem with the vehicles, but I wouldn't say it's the worst one in the series. Actually, by 2000... Well, yeah, Rat was out. Yeah, that's not really true in my opinion. Rat was definitely worst one by then. Review by C-Chan from the year 2000. Graphics 9. The graphics are not too bad, but they look similar to the previous Crash series, so the graphics is still maintained in all ways. The landscaping are better in snow areas, and the characters look cuter in my opinion. Yeah, these guys are real cute. Is this guy sure that he didn't play Crash 2 instead of 3? Because there's very little snow in Crash 3. Link is 03456 from 2009. Overall, the gameplay in Crash 3 is jaw-dropping. Yeah, but not in the way you'd think it is. Every single person on the face of Earth should have this game, even Obama, who is currently the president. I don't know if you're reading this from 4 years later or whatever, if he had the time. Seriously, I've got to say that it is the best game ever, although it is underrated. Well, I would say it's overrated, but yeah. Review by Izane, is that how you say it, from 2004? I don't understand how he can run so fast with that clearly visible back problem of his. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a neck. That probably puts a lot of strain on his back. Anyway, that was some reviews from Crash 1, 2, and 3 from way back when things were a little bit better in the gaming industry and pretty much everywhere else. But yeah, a lot of these opinions were pretty surprising, some were pretty interesting. Although I feel like people forgive Crash 3 a lot more these days. I mean, I mostly read the bad reviews, but you know. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.